Hey,
Jesse,
what's going on?
what up?
How you doing? How you doing?
We're coming to you from my one-room farmhouse in an undisclosed location.
That
We've
is
got
great
the fire
to
going.
hear. I'm coming to you from my dirty bedroom.
I love
As
it.
you can see,
Amazing.
there's a lot of mess and stuff, so I
Well,
apologize.
this is all I'm allowing you to see of my home.
You don't want to see the 180.
You don't want to see what's that way.
How you guys doing?
Great, man. Where are you living?
So I live in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know you're a Virginia native, aren't you?
That's correct. I love Baltimore. Been there a bunch of times over the years.
Cool. So let me start with this.
Tommy doesn't get it. Tommy doesn't get Baltimore.
I drove through there once.
What? How do you not get Baltimore?
No, he's been a jerk. You have a wonderful harbor in Baltimore.
I see you in your study of being a sports broadcaster, you've learned how to give hot takes already.
No,
So that's a
exactly.
great accomplishment.
That was a super hot take. I drove by your harbor. I love your harbor. This fire is right now. I'm telling you right now. This is like this is burning us up. This shirt is melting to our skin.
This fire is a celebration of fall. We love all things fall. It's 78 degrees out here, but we've got Monday Night Football on mute here. We're embracing football season.
There was a chill in the air. It touched 68 earlier today, so that's LA.
Where are you guys based out of?
We're both in LA, west side of LA.
I hate you guys.
What?
I'm so jealous. I am so jealous.
Come visit.
Come on now. As far as I know, the closets look the exact same in LA, man. That closet.
And I see you guys are matching. It seems
We're doing
like
double plaid. We're coming to see you double plaid today.
2X plaid. Let's go.
It's lit. I love it.
Do you have a lot of clothes at the dry cleaners right now? There's a lot of empty.
So I just moved back in. I was in college for the past 4 years, and I'm
Nice.
still getting stuff together. So yeah,
Congrats.
that's
Where'd you
exactly what. So I was at the University of Maryland. Just graduated in May. Got a job, and yeah, that's what I do now.
Is the job at Awful Announcing?
That's one of the jobs. That's one of the
Oh, yeah,
jobs.
you got a multitude of jobs. Awesome. So are you writing for several places? You're like a writer at large?
Yeah, I'm writing for several places.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
That's a cool title, writer at large.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use that on my LinkedIn now. That's actually really dope.
You're welcome. Will you quote me?
Of course.
very much. You know, in the first episode of the show, we got a Terp. We got Sean Merriman representing the team.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Probably one of the few great Terps that played football. And keyword few.
I got another one for you. Got another one from my high school. Torrey Smith.
Whoa!
Come on now.
Look at that. Go Terps.
Yeah.
Have I mentioned how much I enjoy the harbor there in Baltimore?
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay.
Good.
You guys need to come visit.
You can see where my Maryland Intel caps.
Yeah, I mean, look, Virginia, Maryland. We share a border. We know each other well.
Yeah.
Over the years.
I love Virginia. I was just there 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
I was coming from Atlanta, and I just drove past. It was cool. Richmond
Atlanta's
is
getting down closer to my neck of the woods. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. Great
And
trip.
you're a huge Alabama fan, and I was just reading that you leave Alabama games early. Why?
Wow, you did a deep
Deep
dive.
dive.
Let's
Hey,
go.
there you go. That's the writer at large.
That's what a writer at large does. My father is the most impatient man.
I want to hear this too.
I know, and he has developed a system where he's at the same seats forever, and he knows exactly how long it takes to get to his car, and he knows how early he has to leave to beat the traffic to the big exit out of Tuscaloosa. So it's about 6-7 minutes to go, and you stop at portals along the way to watch a play. Then you run to the next portal, watch another one. Meanwhile, we're getting closer and closer to the car. And then the second the game is over, sometimes that's in the last second of the game, we take off running, and we're quite often the first people out of Tuscaloosa on a game day.
You are a resident of LA. You understand the trials and tribulations of traffic. It can't be that bad in Alabama.
No, it's not. But let me tell you, when I say my dad's impatient, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I mean, my dad would never survive Los Angeles. He'd leave in a week. And we've also, it's become such a thing that we think it like helps the team, you know, like any idiot football fan. We're convinced that our leaving earlier is responsible for all these national championships.
Well, the good thing with Alabama, they usually have a 20-point lead by the beginning of the fourth quarter. So
yeah, it's pretty seldom that we that we regret leaving early at all. But there have been some close ones. To our credit, we're not going to leave a game if it's down to the wire, but we are going to be standing right at the last portal, and we will take off sprinting once it's over.
Did you attend the Auburn-Alabama game in Auburn? And did you leave?
I have. It's very dangerous for an Alabama fan, especially after that dude poisoned those trees.
Yeah.
That inflamed things. I have been there, and I mean, both those stadiums are nuts. I mean, we don't have a whole lot going on, in Alabama sports-wise. So Alabama and Auburn is about as big as it gets. And for every 100,000 people in the stadium, there's another 150,000 people outside that don't have tickets.
Wow.
It's a hell of a party.
What did you think? Did you see Nick Saban go off on Lane Kiffin earlier on Saturday? I don't know why he went off on him.
No, I missed this. I didn't do any post game on Saturday.
Well, he went off him because they scored, and he was like basically a classic Nick Sabanism. Like, if you're not playing to your perfection at every play, if you give a score, you're not doing your job. And that could lead to something else. It's like a crack in the wall that could lead to something else down the road. So he really. I watched that. He torched them.
Someone has described Saban's coaching philosophy as that when he's the hardest on them when they're doing well. He really pushes them to be perfect. And then when they start screwing up, you'll see him actually ease up on the guys a little bit. It's a little bit of a reverse psychology thing.
That is weird.
You would expect it to be the other way around, but if you really watch him during the game, he's most pissed when they're just crushing someone. And the gentlest when they're behind and need a little boost.
Now, Tommy loves Alabama football, so I hear him talk about it all the time. So my eyes kind of glaze over, and I just start looking. What else is going on in your apartment? It's amazing. Like, you get some cleaning supplies in the bag. It looks like mail, maybe.
If you've got Febreze, you can throw everything else out. You don't need shampoo. You don't need
so sources can confirm that I have some Febreze for like when my shirt isn't ironed well enough. I have some mail that I need to like look at that I haven't finished looking at. Some spray when I'm going out and I need something to make me smell good. There's an inflatable bed thingy right there. So yeah.
So you can have guests. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. You red-eye to Baltimore. No problem.
Come on down, or fly over. We'd love to have you. Have something more than a harbor.
You're a sports fan, right? I mean, if you're working for Awful Announcing, is your writing gearing towards sports, or is it across the board?
It's across the board because they started a vertical known as The Comeback that is basically pop culture. So, but I am a sports fan and I cover sports for the most part. So,
that's a good segue into what we're doing. Is that
segue is key in broadcasting? Boom.
We'll crush segues all day.
Segues all day.
How'd you come up with the concept in the first place? Because I know you guys also are writing this as well, correct?
Yeah, we wore all the hats on this one. It was a real labor of love. Tug and I have been friends for a long time. I'm a fan of his work, and he's a huge fan of my work. We've been talking around the idea of doing something together for a while, and so sat down for lunch one day, and both of us had done some reading around this idea of sports broadcasting schools, namely the one in Syracuse, where a lot of pro athletes go through a short program. And it just seemed like this great juxtaposition.
Maryland, Merrill College, Maryland.
Yeah, of course.
There's
yeah, of course.
Right. Of course.
Obviously. Bonnie Bernstein went there.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Look at that.
Come on, I drop nuggets all day. Come on, here we go.
Doug really knows a lot more than I do. My knowledge is, I'm more the face of the duo.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I keep it pretty superficial. I also have some of that smell good spray in my house. No, so we started talking about it. There was an article in the I believe it was the New Yorker 2-3 years back about Jerome Bettis working with an opera coach to sort of perfect or work on his on-air voice, and it was inherently comedic and interesting and touched on sports without being too kind of inside baseball. I felt like the idea for a show that a lot of people could relate to, and also we were hitting our mid-30s, and which feels like, at least for us, a transitional point. It's the same age at which a lot of athletes end up retiring, and in terms of deeper themes, this idea of where do you go when you've been to the mountaintop was really interesting to us. How do you find fulfillment in the rest of your life when, from 25 to 35, you were, every Sunday had legions of people cheering from you? Like, is it just all downhill, or can you reboot and, find satisfaction elsewhere? And a lot of these guys try to find it in broadcasting. They bring all of the ego, all the competitiveness into that thing. There's a great, you can find it online. Dan Marino can't get this teleprompter bit right, and
I love that video. I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's great.
And
it's
just
so
you
good.
see Dan Marino, the quarterback, come out. He's like, come on, and I'm like, that's it. I mean, that's the grist of a good television show, and luckily they let us make the show we wanted to make.
Yeah, and Tommy points out, like, all these athletes have been the best at what they do for their whole lives, and so when they retire from that sport, they still have all the ego that they've built up through the years, but they have nowhere to put it now. So now it's interesting for us to see how you try to live when you don't have the chance to kind of flex your muscles in front of people anymore, and you got to live like a normal person. And another thing that I brought to the table was I always had this idea of like doing a documentary or something where you follow athletes. They have these built-in fan bases because people love them, and then watch them try to transition into broadcasting. On my ride over here, I was listening to radio. And there's like a local radio show covering the Rams, where for the game tonight, which is opening night when we're taping, is they have a sideline reporter for radio. So that's how diverse the job opportunities are for sports broadcasting. There's
Kirk Morrison, I think.
Kirk Morrison, yeah, exactly. He's one of the guys, and I forget what he was talking about, but he used the words vintage Case Keenum, which I have no idea what Case Keenum is. Let me tell you that right now.
That sounds like a wine I'd like to drink.
So, you just think about, like, you could end up at ESPN, Fox, local TV,
Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Michael Strahan.
Yeah, I mean, American Ninja Warrior host. I mean, it's ridiculous to think of the range of places you could end up in sports media.
I mean, Tug and I were on the phone every night at about 11, doing a wrap up of the Olympics coverage, because they have to dig deep to find people to cover these obscure sports, and there's some amazing. Just learning the jargon for that, like, weird kneeling canoe. I just love that that's someone's assignment. But yeah, and sort of the last piece of the puzzle, and something that served the comedy of it, was like, if you don't have to do anything for yourself, these people are so well tended to when they play for a professional sports team, and then to get thrown into the real world when you don't know the price of milk. You don't know that, for instance, Febreze can take the wrinkles out of a nice shirt. Then
Febreze is amazing. I highly recommend it, and I'm not sponsored by them.
I'm not kidding you. It's in use in this home regularly. But yeah, so
I do want to ask. So, did you guys visit the sets of various shows, or radio shows, or TV shows, or talk to people one-on-one besides the guest stars that you had on?
I will say that, yes, we did have a lot of the guest stars on the show. And we had some access to some radio stations that we got to use as sets for the show. So, you know, you will see guys like Kurt Menefee on the show, Mike Hill, Jim Jackson, Sean Merriman, Arian Foster, Mercedes Lewis, a lot of guys who either, you know, work in sports broadcasting or think about doing that as next steps. But, you know, in a previous job I had, I did a play on Broadway a couple years ago called Magic Bird. It was based on the lives of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And basically,
you played Larry Bird.
I did. I tried to play Magic. I didn't get it. So, you know. But
maybe next time. Maybe next time.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe next time. But I had
reboot.
I had the keys to the kingdom with regards to Boston sports media. So I got to go to speak with Danny Ainge, who's the GM of the Celtics. I spoke with Jackie McMullen, who you see all the time on ESPN shows. Bob Ryan, who's one of the best basketball sports writers in the world. You know, went on, did the halftime show for that. So, as a junior in college, I interned for Fox Sports out in San Francisco for one of the regional networks. So it's always something I've been interested in. And Tommy and I have always been good friends like the last, 9-10 years. But when we started really bonding over how I don't know, colorful some of these announcers were and just enjoying the needling. And you see it on Twitter. I mean, Twitter gets off on crushing broadcast announcers. It's unbelievable.
That's what this whole website was based
I know.
on.
And we're fans of the website. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, this is really. This is a perfect. This is a perfect match because a lot of announcing is awful, and
I'm glad I got the rose. I'm glad I got the rose. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
You did get the rose.
Here in a beautiful setting.
Look at this.
I have a level of back sweat right now. I need some down my face. I need that Febreze. Can you hear me?
Who are the best and worst announcers that are out there?
I have a lot of nostalgia for the old school, like Keith Jackson calling Alabama games gives me goosebumps. That old touchdown Alabama, like the guys that. A deep resonant voice gets me every time. I grew up listening to Eli Gold, who calls Alabama football on the radio.
That's a deep dive for you, Jesse. That's a deep one.
He also calls some auto sports as well, I believe.
I think he still does. Does.
This guy.
See that? And this guy. So we leave early, and we will listen to Eli call the rest of the game if it's not a close game on the ride out of Tuscaloosa. So that when it's attached to sort of childhood memories, I'm biased, I think. So those are the good guys.
Yeah, I mean, the good guys for me is obviously Brent Musburger is the top of the list, in my opinion. In the very first episode, we do a little shout out to Brent because I'm such a big fan, and I can't say like.
Don't you love when he has the wagers and the gambling?
Of course, he does that great. Al Michaels does that great. I love the way they subtly infer to the people in the desert who are following, closely the lines and the totals of the game. So that's great. I mean, you feel like he's been relegated off into some desert island over on SEC network, which is a tragedy.
Horrible decision by ESPN.
Yeah. But there are plenty. I'm a fan of a lot of guys out there. I'm not going into detail of the people I don't enjoy. I just enjoy I don't enjoy Captain Obviouses. People that just tell you third down is a big play. You don't need to tell me that. We already got that.
I had a problem recently because I watched every last second of track and field because I'm a track nerd. And I like the team for the most part, but a couple of times, and I like Lewis Johnson, but a couple of times he ambushed people he informed them on air that they had been disqualified. Which I
saw that. That was
wildly unfair, and seemed just so. It seemed manipulative. To capture a reaction on film, and I wish he hadn't done that. But I like him for the most part. There's a couple of moves in the broadcasting world that I take issue, and that's one of them.
But we also, if you watch the show, and we think the show is. I mean, it's obvious to us. We love the show. We're biased, but because we're fans of sports media, you'll see subtle things in there that we try to put in that are fun for the real fans of sports media. I mean, who doesn't love Jim Nantz calling out a "Hello, friends" to start the broadcast? I mean,
warms my heart.
Yeah, I mean, people get, just love that. I mean, lots of little nuggets that you'll see in the show that just show that we really pay attention to what people are doing, their handles, their signatures. It's
another of my favorite pieces of awful announcing is when these guys that don't watch these corny shows have to do the little promo banter about them. So they're like, and we'll be back for the second quarter. By the way, make sure you tune in to an all new Two Broke Girls tomorrow night. Things get nuts when Kathy burns the muffins. I love that so much that I will play it back. I will TiVo it back just to see. It just betrays the fact that they have no clue what they're talking about. They know
how amazing is it to hear like Jim Nantz or Vern Lundquist promoting street TV shows during March Madness? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Vern, huge fan of Uncle Vern, as you all call him. Awful announcing. So yeah.
Oh, and so just tell me, what kinds of jargon and words did you have to learn or did you have to make up in order to sound authentic as sports announcers? And were you guys play-by-play guys, studio hosts, both?
Well, the first season carries us through the school. So the thing that launches Wednesday is us showing up. I was the starter in Arizona. He was the backup. He's trying to get on with his life. Thinking that this will be a new chapter for him. He's not in my shadow anymore. And lo and behold, he runs into me in the parking lot. And I'm like, I'm going to do it too, man. And so there's a real frenemy thing going on. So
it's like Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe if they played on the Jaguars. Like that, it's that kind of relationship. Just guys that maybe one guy sabotaged, somewhere. I think that somewhere out in the world, Drew Bledsoe is kind of cursing Tom Brady for stealing his
life
career.
Yeah, and so we're not good at any of it starting out, and we too often take things personally. Like we can't be as objective as you should be as a broadcaster. But we're trying to find our place in the world, and we by the end of the season, without spoiling too much, we've established a chemistry that's so terrible it's kind of good. I'd say Tuck is more the play-by-play guy, and I add a little color, but we're stepping on each other's jobs all the time.
We try to learn who's what and whose role is what. So it's nice little. It's almost like an origin story in some ways of like a great broadcasting team, which is something that we loved as we were doing research, learning about like the older regime, the Pat Summeralls, the Frank Giffords of the world that Yeah, they were a little bit playboyish, going out having cocktails the night before, having cocktails maybe even during the day of, having some fun. So all that was appealing to us.
And a lot of the color of the first season of them trying these different jobs, right? Trying to call golf, see that they've got a gift for that kind of mellifluous golf calling, and trying to call to get some professional tape. They go call a high school football game. So they're finding their way. And by the time you get to the graduation, they really haven't stood out from the class.
No.
It's not as if they graduated magna cum laude. They're going to struggle. And if we do a chapter 2 of this, I think it will be seeing these guys out on the road, calling obscure sports, like trying to work their way up to the ESPNs of the world.
And so, what was your perception of sports broadcasting before you started this role, and how has it changed since?
Good question.
What amazes me is how sort of facile the really good guys are. How that without ums and no
handles,
sort of like Jim Nantz just mellifluously calling. I'm going to use that word.
Yeah, exactly. That's twice now.
Use that word
twice.
As many times as I can. You cut one of them.
Now you have a catchphrase for next season.
That's right.
I can't even pronounce it myself.
Yeah, how would I work mellifluous into a catchphrase?
3 times now. Okay, I see.
But I'm trying to brand the word. I'm trying to get it trademarked. But how well these guys can call a game without stumbling and have access to such such a wealth of information kind of at their fingertips. Yeah, they do game prep and they've got their binders and all that stuff, but it's really hard to move through that smoothly. So I think, I can't remember what your question
was. I would agree. I would agree with that. I mean, watching guys like Mike Tirico, who are pretty effortless in jumping from sport to sport, and they have supreme knowledge, and they never feel forced or rushed. You might have seen yesterday, not to knock Chris Berman, but Chris Berman is, got caught on tape a couple of times doing some things. And yesterday you may have seen him kind of snapping at somebody going to break. Yeah. They caught that. So, the people who are able to dodge those and just work smoothly and take us from one place to another, you feel safe inviting them into your home. We were both commenting last night how much we enjoyed Dan Patrick.
I love Dan Patrick. Yeah,
Dan has this ability to give you the information, be funny, but also make you feel like he's your friend. I mean, you just feel like he's a guy that you would want to go out to a bar with and have a beer, and that's a rare quality, because some of these guys feel like they're a little nebbish or nerdy, and some guys are a little bit holier than thou, and there's like the sweet spot where it's like, I would hang out with that guy. That guy seems real cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that it's easy to, for whatever reason, it's easy to, and again, it's a comedy. We're supposed to suck, so we didn't really have to get good at it. But we found when we were shooting some of these scenes that there is a tendency to, it's hard to have that kind of genuine homey voice where it feels like you're hearing from a friend, because your instinct when the cameras are rolling and the earpieces in is just to be like, good evening and welcome to, to really do this sort of radio voice. And I think only the really good ones they have a nice presence, they have a nice voice, but it feels like Dan Patrick. You're just like, oh, this guy's talking to me. I want to hear what he has to say. It can be a little off-putting if it's too forced. Our friend Molly Ephraim, who plays one of the people in the broadcasting class, her greatest fault, her character's greatest fault, is that she's just so in your face with the broadcasting talk, and does a brilliant job sort of playing that character that just wants so badly to succeed, but really can't succeed until she learns how to sort of just let off the gas a little bit.
There's an element to being yourself that people either are going to love or be turned off by. But we talk about the amazing voices, the guys with the gifts, but there's guys out there that don't have it, but they've still found a way to be interesting. And the person I'm thinking of is Jeff Van Gundy. I think Van Gundy, I feel like, is really captivating because, no one's going to think his voice is, made from God. But his voice, he actually speaks his opinion. He's kind of brash. He's not afraid to talk about other subjects. He's not afraid to take on the regime. And I feel like that's what audiences nowadays, especially who are really savvy to watching sports and getting social media and hearing opinions day in and day out. That's what they're looking for now in 2016.
I like the piggybacking on that. I like the niche guys, like the Mel Kipers. That's just like, come draft time, he's just like, yes, and just owns it, and I mean, you hear from him throughout the year. He does baseball, right? I don't.
He works in Baltimore. He's a Balti guy.
Oh, is he a Balti?
Yeah. Born in Baltimore, born and bred. Yep.
Such a great harbor there. But these guys that
we actually have a football team and a baseball team as well. Just wanted to, let you know.
Oh yeah, no, he knows. He loves the Ravens. Big fan. But yeah, I mean,
I do like Flacco. Everybody gives Flacco a hard time. I like.
He likes Flacco because Flacco was his fantasy QB last year. That's how he bases all his.
And did you win your fantasy league last year?
Oh no, Tug.
No.
Tug's my right-hand man in this quest to get me to the top of my league. I play with a bunch of Alabama guys I grew up with, and they outwork me, but I'm trying to be better.
They definitely outwork him, but we have one eye on Kirk Cousins because his team is playing against him right now. So if you hear some groaning, it's because the Redskins score. It's a pass.
Let me ask this. What is it like, because you guys have always been in front of the camera, what is it like sort of having to be behind the scenes and, first of all, sell the concept to somebody, promote it, act in it, write it, shoot, direct, all that good stuff?
I'll take this one to start. Well, this is one of my first forays into the writing and producing world, and I loved it. I realized I'm built for this. I love the idea of controlling some piece of art and seeing it through the way that you want it to be done. Tommy has had some experience being a producer and a writer. He wrote a show that got on the air on Fox to sing his praises for a moment 5 or 6 years ago called Sons of Tucson, a half-hour comedy that made it to air. So, I've always been really impressed by him, an actor that can write and put things on the air and create other works. He's sold some other pilots and things like that. So, he's what I think he was excited by. You can talk to this is actually seeing something that you wrote be made and turned into production and have the world be able to see.
Yeah, I've been on a good little run of selling pilot concepts between acting gigs, and I've always tried to keep an iron in that fire. But I'd sold a lot of just like big 4 network pilots that you're one of 50 that they buy, and you develop it. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And look, some of them came out great, and some of them did not. But I was really interested in, and I just felt in a couple of instances that the tone I was going for got lost in the development process. So this felt like the right group of partners and the right size show that we could really put, like, from concept to execution to air, like really put our sense of humor into the world, that really got me going. So we went out and on our own dime shot a couple days of just sort of sample material for the series. And when we were in the sales phase, we presented that and said, and we got it tight enough and good enough that it represented what we were going for. And it made the sales process really easy. It was like, watch this. If you dig it, this is what we're going to deliver. And if you don't, then, thank you very much. We'll connect on the next one. So it made the process so much better. And in fact, I'd copy this process again the next time. Just go out, if you can, commit something to film to show what you're going for. The good thing is, what's really fun is to write for yourself as an actor too. I mean, you can really hone it, and just in the writing process, we can take a second and read 2 pages back to one another to see if it works, because we're the guys that are ultimately going to be performing it anyway. So being a sort of one-stop shopping for everything it has a synergy to it that I think, and you see it more and more. Lena Dunham. I mean, the list goes on and on. But like the writer performer is kind of hot right now, and I can see why. It makes sense.
Is there a difference between shooting a show for mobile devices versus TV?
Not really. No. You know what? That's a great question. I mean, the budget's a little smaller, but we really set out to make something that was of the quality of premium television. I mean, we shot 70 minutes of material, whereas, if you did, 10 half hours, you're at 300 minutes. But but over the course of the 7 episodes, we tell a long story. You could watch them back to back, and it plays like a movie. It's not gimmicky. There's not cats, crapping on pianos or whatever. I think we're at a time where, content and how it's delivered is changing. So we just treated it like we were shooting a TV show. And we had to be mindful of budgetary things. But beyond that, we in our minds didn't separate doing it for mobile versus doing it for television. And I think you get in the weeds when you set out to like please a certain audience. I think for us, it's just make what we think is moving and funny and we would want to watch, and then hopefully other people take to it. And so far they have. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is that I think because so many people want to make things short and choppy and fast and get to the point and kick me in the crotch and all, everyone laugh. Like that's just not something that we're interested in watching. And I think, again, to go back to the people who watch sports media, like we're savvier audiences now. I think that we can watch things that are maybe short form, but are still compelling and still have weight to them, but also be funny. There's some, yes, we're a comedy, but the idea of, and yes, no one has sympathy for millionaires because, football, people who, playing sports are generally millionaires, but there's still people that are trying to figure out what to do for the next 50 years of their life. They're still trying to there's a fall from grace can be really compelling no matter where you fall from. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, that's a beautiful quote. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and the road to, here's a great quote.
No, use that quote. We gotta go.
No, I got a better quote. Let me see if I can get this out right. The road to broadcasting success is paved with fallen sports heroes. I got it out. I mean, it's pretty good.
It's really, really good.
Another perfect
time. There's so many people that have fallen by the wayside. I mean, you know, as competitive as it is to go from college to the NFL, it's those same odds going to NFL to success in broadcast. People don't realize that. Be like, oh, you play pro sports, you'll get a job somewhere. Well, not necessarily a job that is going to, you know, pay the bills or keep you in the lifestyle you're accustomed to.
I want to circle back to one thing that was very sports media that you probably didn't catch. It was so good and so subtle. It's about me. It was the way I built Tommy up. I set him up, and then I said his name, and I subtly shifted my body. And I said, Tommy, I don't know. You may want to answer this about your career.
Body language is huge.
Great body language switch, transition, letting him know effortlessly that it's going to be his turn.
For instance, I'm getting a little irritated now, but with Tug, so I'm going to do an arm cross, and just a slight shift this way, which I'm smiling. Yep. But it's very passive aggressive.
That's what I call a sage steal. and sage steal when Bill Simmons when they were together.
That was awkward.
Pretty awkward, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing we love comedically is that like you're talking about sports. If you were to see a transcript, it seems totally innocent, but the little passive aggressive jibing that happens in the awful announcing world is pretty great.
How good was it when Bill Simmons like, oh, it's my turn to talk, and then they cut to
I know. And I guess that's 0.5 of the reason why he's not at ESPN now.
Yeah, Michelle Beadle's doing half the shows this year, I guess.
Yeah. And they gave Sage a role in with SportsCenter hosting On the Road.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I also want to know, you know, there's so much content out there.
Yeah.
Are you guys, and obviously, you know, Go 90 has had a lot of downloads, but not as many as they wanted.
Yeah.
Are you guys scared or afraid in terms of being able to captivate and reach an audience that is good enough for, I guess, what would be deemed as successful?
Yeah, we're terrified.
Yeah. Yeah. Good night.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the first goal that we have now satisfied is to make something we're really proud of. So like that's done, you know, and we
damn it, Cousins.
Cousins screwing up. You can watch the game now.
Let me just backtrack. What, if anything, have you seen of our show? Have you seen anything yet?
I've seen the trailers. I've seen the trailers.
All right, we got to get you this. We can send you a link.
We want to send you the link to the series so you have a better idea of what we're actually trying to accomplish. Because I think it's different than even how we try to describe it. It's just this a better version. It's better than how we could even set it up. So, but we'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll get Ben to send you the link and watch it if you want. But yeah, I mean, you want as many people to find it as we can, and part of wearing all these hats is we've put on the kind of PR hat here in these last couple of weeks, just to get it out there, talk to guys like you, and I mean, I have faith that if this can become a part of the sports and comedy conversation on Sunday when you're sitting around watching the game, you're making fun of an announcer and be like, have you guys seen that thing? I mean, we need to, if we can capture that zeitgeist, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Oh yes, down to the one.
And then. Can I I've experienced something sort of analogous. I do a show on Hulu called Casual, and we were part of their kind of reinvention, doing premium television to really get into the game in a big way. And I will say it's, even though Hulu is smaller than Netflix and blah blah blah, the energy at that place to push their content and get in the game is far outweighs any negative aspect to me, and we feel that way about Go 90. They're excited about putting content in the world, which is good news. I've also done a bunch of work at the networks, and when it's good. But when you're one of 50 shows, like you can get lost. You know,
right?
The truth of the matter is, we may be too early. You know, we may be early with this idea that people are looking for things that both either on the .com or on their phones, on their app, to watch, you know, quality TV. But we think this is the future. And so if we're too early, that's a bummer. We'll make some other stuff. But I think it's out there. The goal for us is to have someone help us make it, and we get to see our vision come to life. And we did that. And I think it's, we always joke about sports being the biggest niche audience in America. Mm-hmm. People really, not everyone loves sports, but a lot of people sure do. So I think we can find a way to tap into people that enjoy comedy, enjoy sports. they're going to find our show. And Go90 is actually doing some cool things. I mean, they have deals with NFL and NBA and soccer that allow sports fans who don't have cable to get on their app and watch shows. I mean, watch games. That's really, really cool. And it's free. That's pretty cool. You know.
Yeah, if they can bring all those elements together on that app, it's a really cool platform.
Rapid fire question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. I was just going to say before we go, I did want to get a shout out to Uninterrupted, which is Maverick Carter's company that co-produces with us, and he and Jamal really, were supportive of this idea from the beginning, and they helped get these athletes and announcers into the program. So I would be remiss not to mention them. And so through their work, through that Uninterrupted network and Go90 and our network, we're cobbling together a lot of stuff here. But I think if we play our cards right, it can get out there.
Rapid fire questions. Who was your favorite guest star on the show?
Oh man, we can't do that.
Well, I won't say favorite, but I tell you who we were really, really impressed by. It was Kurt Menefee.
Yeah.
Kurt Menefee came in to shoot, and then he was going to Carolina for the conference championship, and there was a big snowstorm coming. So he had to do it in like 3 hours. But he came in ice cold with his lines. I mean, he knew every one of his lines. He was game to play. I mean, we were surprised by so many people how like professional they were. But we're just singling out Kurt because we had to get him in and out in like 3 hours.
Yeah, for someone who doesn't do acting per se, it's like we were totally impressed. I mean, we don't show up knowing all our lines.
No, not at all. but it was his acting debut, and he said as much on social media, which is really cool for us. Mercedes Lewis, who was also really funny and gigantic. To think that there's like a 6'7" tight end.
I don't know how a human.
Your job is to tackle him. No. He's really funny and really fun, and he was his acting debut too. So that was a lot of fun for us to give people an opportunity to get.
These guys really embrace it. I mean, once they're there and the jokes start landing, like these guys really dig it, and that was fun to watch.
Favorite guest? Guest star that you want to come on the show? Maybe LeBron.
Oh, we love LeBron. Yeah, I mean, couldn't be bigger right now.
Absolutely. We obviously saw some comedic chops from Trainwreck.
Yeah. What's funny is Blake Griffin, and that Kia campaign. Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Really dry.
Yeah,
funny guy. I mean, I think once people see this, I'm pretty sure they'll be calling us every day to get on our show.
Really, the problem is back to your earlier question is like. The problem is, will this get too big?
Yeah.
And we can't handle all the incoming.
We'll get secretaries to take their calls. It's gonna get.
Yeah, I would. We're gonna have a legion of assistants. I would love Jim Nance. I'd love to get Jim on. I don't know. A guy like that's just such a part of the announcing firmament.
We're making this anti-rapid fire, but it would be fun for us if we made these like Sports Center commercials where like the broadcasters were like, "Hey, did you do your Now We're Talking?" Like, you got to get on there. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So
that's a good idea. I would do it. What did you guys think about the NFL protests over the weekend? I know Arian Foster, who was a guest star on the show, also participated. What did you think?
Well, if you watch Fino or Arian Foster's Twitter feed, I mean, he's a really thoughtful guy. I mean, it's pretty impressive to see the way he thinks about things. It's irregular from what you would think of a stereotypical athlete. I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. I mean, not to bring it down too much, but I think I was watching Trent Dilfer and Randy Moss talk about it yesterday on Countdown, but debating whether or not you use the platform. Mm-hmm. And I think you got to use the platform. I just feel like maybe there's ways. Protests aren't supposed to rub everyone the right way. That's just.
Yeah, I think look, whether you would do it or not, or whether you like it or not, the thing that I think that gets kind of lost in the thing is it's great to live in a country where you can do that. I mean that's the whole idea, right? That's American, and I think we're losing that, along the way sometimes. So
the bottom line for us though is and it all starts back from Kaepernick. If he's not starting, we're not going to think about him too much because of fantasy.
I mean, I've got Gabbard, so.
But yeah, I mean, if we're people want to protest, then please, by all means, go for it.
What did you consider going into sports broadcasting?
We've gotten this question a couple of times. As I said earlier, love sports, spend all Saturday, Sunday watching them. I don't have that like immediate memory for the games of yesteryear like Tug does. Tug has this amazing recall for sports facts, and I think I'm missing a gear. I'm very vain. I love being on camera and having my hair blown out excuse me. Just but I'm not sure I have the chops. I think I'm better suited for scripted work on television.
I mean, I always enjoy. I think sports broadcasting is a part of the fabric of the way we remember sports. It's another great quote for you right there. I'm 2-0 on Tommy. So you think about guys.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
But you think of things like, let's say '89 earthquake. I think we're having an earthquake. I mean, Al Michaels has killed it with quotes. Believe in miracles, all these things. I was thinking about this earlier when you asked another question. But in '86, the Masters. Jack Nicklaus has this great run in the back nine, and Jim Nantz is 26 years old when he does this.
Wow.
And he says on 16, Nicklaus buries a putt to, I think, take the lead. And he says the bear comes out of hibernation. And we know Nantz a little bit better now, but he swears that he didn't script that. Now, I think that may be debatable knowing that we know of Jim Nantz. But it's a great line. It's just a great line. And so I think when you watch sports as passionately as I did as a kid, you just pick up all these people and take them with you. They're all almost, you think about all the greats and they just live with you.
Also, if we've learned anything from doing this thing, it's how insanely competitive it is. So to jump in this late might be ill-advised.
Yeah, strongly.
One last question. You guys have been really generous with your time, and I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, this has been a blast. I mean, we're hot as hell.
So hot. I mean, the shirt is disgusting. Shirt. That's for
last
sure.
question. Last sort of I guess not really a question, but could you guys give us a mock play-by-play presentation of how you guys would portray yourselves if we were calling a game on the show, or I guess in real life?
Okay. We'll do a little. Keep in mind, our characters, Tommy Arundel, Tug Tanner, ain't that great.
No, terrible.
Ladies and
there
gentlemen,
we go. Hello,
for
friends.
kickoff
Thank you
tonight.
for coming out to the big.
I was going to go first.
I set you up.
Okay.
Hello,
And
friends. Thank you for.
Damn it.
Tommy, I got this. Hello, friends. Thank you for coming out to the big game tonight. Anyone's battle. Tommy, any thoughts on tonight's game?
Kind of generic. That anyone's battle thing.
Okay. We're on live.
I think the blue team's going to beat the red team, and we'll be back right after this break.
There you go.
Thank you guys. Thanks
so much. We love the site. Check out the show. We'll get you a link to the show, and
please do.
Yeah, we appreciate you reaching out.
And I appreciate all the room advice. An invitation to Baltimore is always granted. You're welcome to come visit.
We'll hit you up when we get to Baltimore. I'm just eager to spend some time in that harbor. And
lovely harbor.
Yeah, good luck with it all.
Congrats to you on graduating, getting some work. And
thank you.
We'll see you out on the social medias.
Yeah, work hard and maybe get a door for that closet.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Peace out. I'll be watching the show.
All right. Well, thanks. Be good.
All right.